Well, the weather has been absolutely frigid in Hempstead, but for one night at least, you can expect things to heat up. It's the Brawl of Long Island, as we've got a wrestling meet between the Sharks of LIU and the Hofstra Pride. Hello everyone, Tom Verdi here alongside Olivia Hillstead. Really looking forward to bringing you this one from Hempstead this evening, and certainly this Brawl of Long Island. We know that this is going to mean a lot to both of these programs. A great showcase here, 15 combined Long Island wrestlers on these two rosters.
Yeah, this is a really great showcase of Long Island wrestling. You've got a lot of local guys here, some local coaches. It's going to be a really fun night.
Last time out, both of these teams taking on Army over the weekend, and obviously both teams looking to kind of bounce back from that one, but for Hofstra, it all starts with a guy who continues to roll and continue to roll against Army.
Yeah, 165, we got Jake Slotnick, a guy who's been the most consistent wrestler for the Pride this season. He's on a 3-match win streak. He was one of the 2 wins at Army. He's been in and out of the national rankings and a really solid go-to guy for the Pride this season. So
for Hofstra, yeah, look out for Slotnick certainly in that one. And then as we continue to move on to maybe one of the best matchups that I know we're both looking forward to seeing it at 157 with Volpe and Roberts, and that should be a really good one between those two guys, and maybe one of the best matchups we're going to see tonight.
Yeah, that was one of the pivotal matchups in last year's duel against LIU, where Hofstra traveled there. It was extremely tight. 19-16 ended up being the final score of that one, with Volpe helping the Pride to get there. He has been really dynamic this season, and the bigger the match, the better he performs. But he's going to have a tough matchup in 157, but that's not the only good guy LIU has.
Yeah, certainly when you talk about LIU, you have to talk about 185, and they've got a guy who was a national qualifier a couple of years ago that's kind of been leading the way for this program.
Yeah, Anthony D'Alessio at 184. He was a qualifier in 2024, the first in program history, so he's definitely going to be a tough match today.
So watch out for D'Alessio, certainly one of the guys to keep an eye on for the Sharks in tonight's matchup. But again, it is LIU, it is Hofstra, it is the Brawl of Long Island, and it is coming up next on MSG Network, Flow College, and YouTube. And welcome back here to the David S. Mack Sports Complex here on the campus of Hofstra University for today's Brawl of Long Island, LIU and Hofstra. Excited for this one. Tom Verdi here alongside Olivia Hillstead, and starting today off at 174 and looking forward to seeing who LIU is going to go with. But for Hofstra, it'll be Matthew Waddell, a guy who's kind of bounced back a little bit between 174 and 184 as we take a look at Hofstra Pride head coach Jamie Franco, now in his second season, and a guy who really, he couldn't talk enough about what this matchup was going to mean. Called it a great showcase, was looking forward to having a lot of fans in the crowd, a lot of young kids in the crowd who are maybe going to say, hey, I can do this one day, come to this Division I level and kind of see some other guys. So as we said, 15 Long Islanders on these two rosters combined.
Yeah, Franco's a big Long Island guy. He's always trying to push Long Island wrestling and support it. But we've got another second-year head coach over here for the Sharks, John Arcari, also is trying to grow the sport, trying to encourage fans to get out there. Last year in the LIU match, it was bumping, I guess. It was a very aggressive crowd, as the guys have said, and so we're hoping to kind of get some of that action here tonight. But we're going to go ahead and start at 174.
Huntington High School and Nassau Community College, a part of John Arcari's path to LIU, as looks like just trying to do a little bit of bookkeeping here. And again, there was some question about whether it was going to be Braden Brown or Grayson Catlow Sidler as the starter here at 174 for LIU.
Yeah, this doesn't even look like either of those guys, so it's going to be Jack Valentine, actually.
So Valentine, who we originally thought might wrestle at 165, I guess getting the bump up here to 174. And that's going to be, we'll see how tough of a matchup that is for him, slotting up a class here.
Yeah, the redshirt sophomore out of Long Beach. So one of those local guys you're already seeing here, but against Matthew Waddell, a guy who's kind of like finding his footing as the starter at 174 this season. Wasn't sure if he was going to be there, wrestled a couple matches at 184, but just generally felt more comfortable at 174 with the routine of trying to cut weight and trying to maintain a certain level of fitness that he wasn't having to do at 184.
Jarius Clark been banged up, and so Waddell getting a lot of the action at 174 now. So we haven't seen anyone able to take it to the mat just yet. Maybe a bit tentative to start here.
Yeah, Waddell had a nice shot early on and got onto the leg, but he's kind of taking his time. He's doing a really good job of controlling center right now and kind of controlling the ties. The Valentine is holding onto that wrist pretty tight, so Waddell has to work out of that so he's able to create some offense of his own. So he goes for, uses the underhook there, try to create some offense. Already getting this crowd a little excited.
We mentioned it, we think it'll be a very good crowd. So many Long Island natives on each of these two rosters, and as we said, Coach Arcari for LIU going with the Long Beach, New York native from the jump in Valentine. Sure, he's probably got some friends and family here as a single leg here.
Stall warning LIU.
Stall warning called against LIU. So next one would be a point to Hofstra.
A lot of flexibility here for Valentine, but Waddell able to catch him. And then as Valentine tried to go for that roll through, Waddell covers, dropped really well there to get him on his back. It was almost a pin there, but it's just going to be the takedown and 4 near fall points for Waddell.
So the near fall has Hofstra controlling things with Waddell, an early 7-0 advantage here in the first. And 18 seconds of riding time as well. And now it looks like Valentine being looked at by the training staff here.
It'll take just a moment, but yeah, Waddell has had a few really solid matches this year. He's 11-11 right now, sitting at 6-7 in dual meet action, but he's had a couple of ranked matchups, including against Drexel, and a tough matchup just this weekend against Army. Both teams wrestled against Army on Saturday. Hofstra was first, and then LIU. Hofstra winning 2 matches in that duel, and LIU just winning 1. But we'll get to those guys and their victories as they come up. But it looks like we're trying to get things moving around here on the mat.
Coach Franco telling us earlier this week that, you know, now that he kind of knows he's in that 174 slot. It puts him in a better routine. You know, he kind of knows what he can do. He's training with a certain, you know, purpose in mind, and knows he's going to be coming in at 174 to get these matchups, and thinks that's been helpful, as opposed to, you know, earlier in the year maybe trying to decide, you know, going to be behind Jarius Clark, going to bump up to 184 maybe. Now he kind of has his defined role, and Coach Franco thinking that's been a big help so far for Waddell, who again off to a good start here in the first with the early 7-0 edge off of that near fall and takedown earlier.
That was a really nice takedown. He was controlling the leg really well, but as Valentin went to kind of roll through doing that dive for the ankle, this has kind of become a trend we've seen in wrestling where guys will take that risk and dive, but Waddell was able to anticipate that and drop. So Waddell's actually going to start on bottom after this kind of caution situation was awarded where Valentin was in some danger. So it's a good shot, though, for Waddell to be able to get up and get another pretty easy point on the board and then go for a takedown. Like I said, just got the escape there.
So the 1 point for the escape here for Waddell. Puts him further in control here with about 30 seconds or so left in this first period.
Waddell's still on the offense in this match. He's been controlling center really well. He's got Valentin not quite in a front headlock, but is really pressuring him, forcing him to come up and meet him so that he's able to expose his legs and Waddell can go for another shot.
Final 10 seconds here as another single leg move here from Waddell. Looking to get him on the roll here, perhaps.
Valentin really trying to use that whizzer, but not quite working as we'll get to the end of this first period.
So at the end of the first, strong 8-0 lead right now for Waddell. And he will select bottom here to begin the second as we get a look at that near fall again on the replay. 4-point near fall.
Waddell did a really good job of covering and anticipating where that pressure was, where Valentin was on the mat. Could have caught him on his back, honestly, in that moment, but he'll take the 4 near fall.
Again, Valentin lets him up here for the escape, so another point for Waddell.
Coach is calling for Waddell to stay on him and keep the pressure up. Waddell has had a few wins by decision this year, a few by major decision and a few by tech fall. As he's going for another attack here, another single leg, transitioning. Valentin once again trying to roll through and create a dangerous situation, start a scramble of some sort as he's holding on to Waddell's ankle here. But Waddell's doing a really good job of staying patient and keeping up with the pressure as he'll cover and get that takedown.
So a 3-point takedown for Waddell. And we are now under a minute here in the second.
We're going to start approaching tech fall territory pretty quickly here. Either Waddell needs to ride Valentin and get some near fall points from a tilt or trying to pin him, or he'll let Valentin up and go for another takedown. You need to be 15 points ahead for a tech fall, and that's a pretty significant win for the team score. So like I said, Waddell's going to let him up here and probably try to go for a takedown and get some more offense.
So a bit of strategy here, looking for the tech.
He'd need more than a takedown to get the tech fall, but he's going to go for a nice little slick little ankle pick attempt there. Valentin a little too quick, though.
Yeah, you could hear the bench really getting excited about the prospect of another takedown for Waddell. Less than 10 seconds to go here in the second. See if we get any late action here. But it looks like that's going to take us to the end of the second. And now we'll see what we end up with here in the referee's position again. So we take a look at more of Waddell's dominance there in the second.
He tried to use his head there to create some pressure on the shoulder to move Valentin's wrist around to try to get an armbar set up probably, but Valentin limped out of that really well, so avoided exposing his back for near fall. Waddell gonna let Valentin up again to go for the takedown that should end the match as he's on the leg right now.
Yeah, we saw Valentin maybe try to go for his own offense there, but instead Waddell turns it back quickly, gets a hold of that leg, and this is where we've seen him score a couple of takedowns already in a similar situation. And there is the 3-point takedown. So up to a 14-point differential, now 1 away from that tech fall.
Waddell's in a really good rhythm right now. This is what you want to see, is kind of those takedowns building on each other, feeling really confident in your offense. This is also a really good start for what should be a pretty even duel match. So trying to get that momentum going for the Pride here.
Yeah, we mentioned it. A couple of these recent matchups have been really close. The last 2 years, it seems to be getting closer and closer, even with Hofstra right now holding the 10-0 all-time series mark against both LIU and, of course, formerly known as CW Post. And here maybe a chance for Waddell to end things.
But Valentine's going to go for an ankle pick there of his own. Complicate this with a scramble here, both guys on an ankle. This is really truly a 50-50 situation, but it's going to be stopped for potentially dangerous. You are seeing some good defense from Valentine, but Waddell is just so solid in his attacks in this match. He's really feeling it as he's going for this nice throw by, trying to get around here.
Yeah, from the neutral start, it was, again, good offense by Waddell. Final 40 seconds of this match with Waddell still in search of that tech fall. But it has been dominant so far from Hofstra at this 174 weight class.
Waddell on the leg again, this time trying to come out the back door, but Valentine once again holding on to that ankle, making it really difficult for Waddell. But he's exposing his back here, so it should really be a takedown, as the Hofstra coaches are on their feet, very upset about this. You can score points from neutral if you've exposed the back, and so that's what they're going to try to argue here for Waddell. But he's got to be careful here. He's in an awkward spot, but his hip is higher than Valentine, but it's going to be stopped once again for potentially dangerous. That's the problem with some of these scramble situations, is you're in a really good flow, but the ref has to call it before someone gets hurt.
So it looks like they're going to put, I think, a few seconds back on the clock here. Right now they've put 5 back on, but
Couple more attempts from Waddell there, but that's going to do it. And he'll still get the win by major decision, so still a really solid start for the Pride.
So the major decision victory will give Hofstra the early 4-0 team lead here. And a strong showing from Waddell to kick things off here. She gets a nice congratulations from some of the guys on the bench. And we now look ahead to that big 184 matchup. As we said, Anthony D'Alessio, a former national qualifier for LIU, their first ever in program history. And he goes against Josh George here of Hofstra.
Yeah, D'Alessio, one of those go-to guys for the Sharks. He was their only win against Army. He's been pretty impressive, pretty solid for them all season. He spent some time at West Virginia, so has some experience from another program. And of course, he's going against Josh George, the freshman, Long Island guy. Very new, obviously, to the scene, but he's had some really good matches so far as a freshman.
I suppose if you're LIU, right, looking to get some of the momentum back, it's nice to be going to one of your big guns here in D'Alessio. He gets on top early here. 3-0 the lead in this first period, with D'Alessio earning the riding time.
Yeah, D'Alessio controlling this match. He's got that confidence. He knows who he's going up against. He knows what it's like to be in these big situations, to be against ranked guys. And you can see that in how he went for that takedown, controlled top, is now letting George up, so that he's basically doing what we watched Waddell do in the last match. He's going to try to go for a bunch of takedowns on a really solid double leg. It's a big lift for that takedown here.
So he lets him up to score another 3-point takedown, and an early 6-1 advantage here for D'Alessio, who, much kind of like we saw Waddell do in the first battle at 174, seems to be controlling things early on here against George.
D'Alessio's going to cover here after they went out of bounds. Going for a spiral here with the hand on the thigh, putting a lot of pressure on the side for George, making it really hard for him to build. But he's doing a good job of getting to his feet, keeping his head up.
So another escape there for George, brings it to 6-2. And then maybe an eye poke there.
See if he's good. Yeah, seems like George is okay. Tough guy.
But as you mentioned, D'Alessio, a lot of good experience. Spent time at West Virginia, where he was academic all Big 12 rookie team. And again, another takedown here, double leg, 9-2 on the three-point takedown for D'Alessio.
George went for a front headlock there, and I really liked him trying to start an offense of his own, something he's comfortable with. But in doing so, kind of exposed, basically pulled D'Alessio into his legs and made it really easy for that offense to be set up. George is a little bit shorter than D'Alessio, so anytime that happens, it's just going to make it easier for him to get in there.
Four-time All-State selection at Canfield High School in the Youngstown, Ohio area. They take it out of bounds here, and a little over 30 seconds to go in this first period, and the 10-2 advantage. But D'Alessio placing in the States 3 times, 4-time qualifier. Not too shabby, 123-17 high school record.
Caution LIU.
So we've got a caution here against D'Alessio.
Just going to get completely reset here. Take an alternative start so he can let George up to his feet to go for another takedown. Got a really solid underhook here, putting George on his heels. Really slick move there from George, though. Some good defense. The Hofstra bench is going to be very upset about this, as they say it was inbounds. The referee called that out of bounds, but there was still a point of contact, which is the rule for if you're inbounds or not. So Jamie Franco's going to throw the challenge brick, so we're going to review that.
Yeah, that was a quick, as you said, very slick move from George, because it looked like D'Alessio was about to get a hold of his ankle, and instead George was able to slip out of that and tried to turn it into some offense. And again, it was very close to being out of bounds. Hofstra obviously feeling like it was inbounds. Let's take another look, see if we can see anything better from our angle here. But
yeah, I thought I saw a hand in there, which is enough of a point of contact for it to count. George did a really good job of getting around. He does a really good job of staying with the momentum and continuing to move even when it seems like he is maybe in a dangerous spot. You'll see that later tonight with Volpe, one of the guys we talked about in the Open. He is one of those guys that responds really well and sometimes can find himself in a tricky situation.
so the score stays at 10-3, back to neutral here. Final 10 seconds of the first period.
That was a really good attempt on a trip there from George. Bundled up D'Alessio's arms and then went for that trip by hooking the ankle. See, George is a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, I believe. His dad owns a gym, and so you see sometimes he has these flashes of kind of weird tricks and stuff, but that's how he's won a few matches. Sometimes it puts him in a dangerous situation. Obviously, you don't want to expose your back in wrestling like you do in jiu-jitsu, but kind of saw some of that there with the trip.
Seemed like he was maybe gaining a little bit more confidence as that first period went on. Kind of finished with a bit of a flourish there, and we'll see starting on bottom here to begin the second. See if he can carry any of that momentum with him. And gets the escape point here.
Even though D'Alessio is clearly working for that tech fall, by letting George up, he's actually putting him in a better position, creating this 50-50 chance, where if he was keeping George on bottom, I don't know how well George would be able to navigate that, but it seems like maybe D'Alessio isn't as tough on top, so something to note here.
Trying to score points again from the takedown. George, like had that low center of gravity there a moment ago.
D'Alessio is still controlling the center of the mat here. Like I said, George is responding really well. He's got him kind of on the edge of the mat again. The Hofstra bench is so into this match. All of these coaches. It's a really young group, and George is one of those guys, one of the freshmen that came in this season. And you've already seen, or at least I've seen, these coaches really feel connected to these wrestlers, believe in them a lot. They know that even if they don't win today or tomorrow, that they still have 3 or 4 years with these guys. So a long time to really get to know them, to invest in them. And you see that in how passionate they are, even in these matches.
As we said earlier, only the second year for Coach Jamie Franco at his alma mater, and a young program that he's trying to build up here with his own guys coming in, and had some injuries this season as well, which has thrust a little bit more inexperience perhaps into the lineup. But George, again, a strong showing here in the second after a good first from D'Alessio, and down to the final 12 or so seconds here.
10 seconds.
George had a double collar tie there for a minute, really trying to put pressure on D'Alessio's head. It seems like he might be trying to tire him out, get him to look a little bit lazy, so George is able to kind of work in there. But we'll go to the third period now. D'Alessio's choice, so he'll, looks like he's gonna take a little break here. We got some blood happening, getting spread around, so take a break from that. But really good showing so far from George. Way to come back from being down.
Yeah, certainly you don't want to end up giving away some of those points that you earned in the major by losing a lopsided decision here in the second one. And we'll take another look at the replay here of some of the exciting action. And again, the one thing that to me stands out is you can hear that Hofstra bench really making a lot of noise, and you see the applause there of Coach Franco, and really trying to get their guys fired up in this, again, it's this local rivalry, and good amount of fans in the building here cheering these guys on, so they're embracing it.
Mm-hmm. On their feet right now, like we said, really good spot for George. This is the best spot he's going to be compared to top or bottom, so he's going to try to catch D'Alessio, create that opportunity for himself.
Able to avoid that shot taken by D'Alessio. Quick from George.
D'Alessio controlling with a really heavy collar tie there. Seems like he's a little bit bigger than George, but George is doing a really good job of using some of that speed. He's moving around the mat really well, even if he is on his heels right now. As D'Alessio has controlled center for most of the match, but George has been doing a really good job of redirecting that motion, so that's probably what he's going to try to do here. We're getting to the edge of the mat, though, which worries me, as George needs a little bit more space for the offense as he almost goes into the board there.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. It feels a lot like that power versus speed matchup so far. And some of George's best moments that we've seen are when he's been a little bit quicker or more slick, as you referred to it earlier, and trying to avoid some of these power moves from D'Alessio. Final minute now, and D'Alessio up 11-4 here in this third period.
Yeah, as of right now, D'Alessio is winning by major decision. He's also got the riding time point, so George is going to need to chip away at quite a few points in the next 40 seconds. But I'd say this is still a really solid outing for the freshman against like a grad student, a guy who's been a national qualifier. It was pretty unexpected, but he's just did a really good job of responding. And I think has wrestled better every second of this match. He's doing a really good job of staying low and continuing to move and take shots. So even though he might seem tired, he's got his heart in it.
Yeah, D'Alessio had the big lead early, and since then it's been pretty even. George holding his own.
10 seconds.
And now D'Alessio with a big three-point takedown in the final seconds of this one, which will put it to 14-4. It looks like, or 15-4. That'll be the final. So a strong major decision there for D'Alessio.
Yeah, George just tried to go big there and accidentally opened himself up, but he did a good job of knowing where he was at in the score, so that he wasn't giving up the tech fall, was already going to give up the major decision, but really good match from the freshman there.
And so we move now to 197, where Caleb Wright for LIU will go toe-to-toe here with Will Conlon of Hofstra. Wright, the freshman.
Conlon, a guy who's moved up a weight class this season after redshirting last year from getting hurt. He has steadily improved as the season has gone on. His cardio's improved, his confidence has improved. You've seen that now as he's really on the offense right away for the Pride. But as a freshman, he had a lot of really solid matches. He had some ranked wins, looked really great, even at the start of his sophomore year. So seeing him at this weight class has been just a really exciting storyline for the Pride this season. And he's already off to a really good start here, really pressuring Wright.
It seems like he is firmly on the front foot. As you said, a guy that the coaching staff has a lot of high hopes for. Wins over ranked opponents already in his Hofstra career. And continues to work his way back to full health, but doing well here right now. And
yeah, in a bit of an awkward position, but he did a really good job of coming out the back door, of isolating the leg on the side while Wright was trying to get the ankle. You're going to see this setup a lot. It seems like LIU really likes this scramble. It's kind of a new style in wrestling. It sometimes is really dangerous and can expose you. So Conlon did a really good job of not panicking in that moment and adjusting his weight to be in the right places. But now he's got Wright on his belly. He's trying to control that wrist. See if he tries to set up a tilt here. But really good start off to this match for Conlon.
3-point takedown for the early lead in this one, and earning that riding time as well.
Wright isn't opening up on bottom, so we'll have to see if he gets a stall. There's a stall warning. You have to be moving on bottom and also open up and allow the guy to work on top. Conlon is putting a lot of pressure on Wright's shoulder there to try to pop out that wrist, probably to pull it on top of his back to set up a bar. Now he's going to use his head as a little lever there. Still driving. This is really tiring for Wright. It's a lot of weight, a lot of pressure on him. So Conlon's doing a really good job of working on top.
Still 42 more seconds here, and again, right now for Wright, he has been stuck with Conlon fully in control of this one. And earning 4 points already. 30 seconds left to go here in the first. He's had that right leg in full control under him for a large portion here this first. Again, Wright already getting a stall warning earlier, so he's going to have to continue to put in the effort down there.
Yeah, Conlon's having to get a little bit creative here. He's still going for this same setup, but Wright is just really not opening up and making it easy for him on top.
So the first period will end there with, again, Conlon fully in control and up to the early 4-0 lead. And he will select bottom to begin this second period. So we'll see if now Wright can turn the tables.
Conlon really quick up to his feet there. He's going to try to go for a reversal here, and that's like a textbook reversal. That was really beautiful. Conlon popped his hips, reached his arm down, got the pressure. Now he's going to let Wright up so he can continue his offense on his feet, because clearly he wasn't getting exactly the results he wanted on top, but had some good success there. Wright tried to set up a Russian, but it's just going to be nothing for Conlon as he gets down to his leg.
So the reversal worth 2 points as opposed to just a regular escape, which is worth 1. And now a 3-point takedown by Conlon. Pushes it to a 9-1 advantage here. Really great start in the first 45 seconds of the second period for Conlon.
Franco called for Conlon to let Wright out there to continue his offense on his feet, to continue to get the takedowns in. I want to point out that these are some of the tallest guys you'll see wrestling. Wright is 6'4" and Conlon is 6'2", and you're seeing that here with the reach that these guys have. These are maybe the tallest wrestlers you'll see in the conference. Sometimes you get a tall heavyweight, but these are extremely tall guys for 197, and you're seeing that in some of these really dynamic takedowns.
Back to neutral here, and we'll see what Conlon can do with the final 35 seconds of the period.
30 seconds.
Not seeing much of Wright going for his own offense here.
Wright's attempted a few different ties. He went for a Russian briefly. Now he's got an underhook. tried to go for a slide by. So he's creative, but it just seems like he doesn't have the strength compared to Conlon, and Conlon's responding really well. So Wright has double, or one underhook right here, so he's trying to build Conlon up, but did a really good job of responding. We're gonna pause here though, because Conlon has to fix his leg brace. Obviously still coming back from injury, but he's responded really well.
3 seconds left in the period. And can't imagine much is going to happen in these 3 seconds. And indeed, after 2 periods now, Conlon in control with the 9-2 advantage. And now LIU again will start on the bottom here. And we'll see again if Conlon allows for a quick escape here to get everybody back up to their feet.
Conlon 14-10 this season in his first year as a starter for the Pride, 6-7 in dual meets. Had a lot of wins and losses by decision, so tends to keep a pretty close match within a few takedowns. So a takedown or a pin from him would be really great for his confidence moving forward in this season, as we are starting to kind of get to the end of the season, to be honest. A few home duels for the Pride, then an away tournament, and then it's conferences.
So after the escape from Wright, 9-3, and less than a minute and a half to go in the third period here. Conlon's got the leg, able to get the flip.
He's going to go for a pin here, or at least get to some near fall. Did a really good job of dropping as he anticipated the takedown. If he can swim the arm through to transition to something like a half Nelson. He got 4 near fall for that, so that was a nice little 7-point combo move there from Conlon. Right now holding on to his wrist, which he's not supposed to do. Making it, again, really difficult for Conlon to get an offense going on top, because Wright is just making it like impossible for him to start. Conlon will let him up to his feet though for that escape.
So as you mentioned, the 3-point takedown plus the 4-point near fall. And then Wright getting the escape, 16-4. And again, we'll see if there's any late drama here, trying to get him on his back again. See if he can get the angle for it.
Yeah, Conlon needs to get that ankle out that Wright is holding on to, or expose Wright's back. So that's what he's going to try to do. Try to get some exposure here by tilting back. The ref is counting, so he's getting points. He'll get 3 near fall, or 3 for the takedown from that exposure. The LIU bench is very upset about this. Quite the passionate match here as we come to the end.
And so a big victory for Conlon. Right now they have it as 19-4 on the board. And that was a big one for the Pride here, which will take us to a break. But Hofstra in front after 3 weight classes so far. They lead it over LIU. We'll be back in a few moments with more here on MSG Network, Flow College, and YouTube.
Apple Bank opened its doors over 160 years ago.
And back then, it was all about one-on-one banking. In today's world, banking's all about easy and convenient, and saving you time for the moments that matter.
We get that, but sometimes you need to speak with someone to make it happen. And at Apple Bank, that's what we still do. One-on-one service since the day we first opened.
Welcome to Apple Bank. How can I help you?
Easy, convenient, personal banking.
Apple Bank, your neighbor, your bank since 1863.
I wasn't born a leader.
It wasn't given to me.
I couldn't buy it.
How'd I get here?
I decided.
I decided.
I decided.
I decided.
Decide to lead as an Army officer.
color to life with the very best paint. Only at Sherwin-Williams.
Back here at the David S. Mack Sports Complex, Hofstra with an early 9-4 lead over LIU in this brawl of Long Island, with the 285 heavyweights coming up next. Chris Powell for LIU, Adrian Sands for Hofstra. And again, this match so far has been a little bit back and forth. A great opening for Hofstra at 174 with Matthew Waddell. 184, Anthony D'Alessio got some points back for LIU. And then again, Will Conlon for Hofstra at 197. Now this is another matchup where perhaps LIU thinks they can exploit. Coach Franco telling us earlier this week that Chris Powell was a guy they were worried about at 285, who certainly brings a lot of experience, and they expect him to be a tough matchup here for Sands.
Yeah, Sands has become the starter in the last few matches for the Pride. He's really improved from his first season here at Hofstra, but Powell, one of those senior guys who's coming in for LIU, spent some time over at D3 at Elmira. He wrestled Sands actually back in 2023, where he pinned him in 31 seconds. So we're hoping to see some improvement from Sands just to make it a more interesting match.
Powell, another one of the Long Island natives out of Center Reach, 7-10 on the season. Sands at 6-13 out of Miami, Florida.
This, of course, being a heavyweight match, could be over really quickly or could last the whole time. Both seem to be pretty upper body, classic heavyweight guys.
And Hofstra's had a pretty good lineage of heavyweight wrestlers, and Coach Franco alluded to that and said they were hoping to get some more here out of Sands and the other guys they've had at heavyweight. Danny Church out for the year. He was the guy that they originally had penciled in as their main guy at 285.
Yeah, recently Zachary Knighton Ward has been in the room. He's an assistant coach here for the Pride. You'll see him really engage with this match especially. He's been pushing Sands, practicing with him, giving him that feel. Some other alumni have come in. Nick Miller last year, the 197-pounder, has come in kind of to push Sands. I remember when Sands joined this program, he was touted as the best partner that Knighton Ward had, which was really huge as Knighton Ward was trying to be a repeat national qualifier. Of course, didn't end up happening, in a really upsetting end to his career, but he's here helping. That's a big theme for this program, is alumni coming back and helping and supporting. There's a bunch of them in the stands today. Like I said, Zach is literally on the bench over in the corner cheering and trying to coach Sands tonight.
Pretty even so far.
1 minute.
As we approach now the final minute here of this first period.
Both guys have been trading ties, but no one has set up anything like that, like clear, I want to say. Like, no one has set up a Russian or a throw by. They're kind of just hanging on to the color tie here. More just hanging into this match rather than actually setting up an offense.
And so if you're Hofstra, I guess you have to be somewhat pleased so far because of the experience of Powell. But now, as we say that, Powell trying to get something going here in the closing stages of this first.
Yeah, Sands, in an effort to try to stay low and prevent a takedown, ended up getting stuck in a front headlock there. It was able to back out and kind of slip out of Powell's grip there.
Final seconds go by, and at the end of the first period, no points on the board for either of the two heavyweights. And so Hofstra will defer, and Powell will start on bottom here to begin the second. So we take a look at the stats there of the redshirt junior Sands here.
Have a caution here. Sands started a little bit too early. looking back, Sands' last win was against Brody Klein of Franklin and Marshall in that dual meet, won 4-1. That actually was a really solid win for Sands. Klein has been pretty solid guy for Franklin and Marshall. He's one of those conference guys that Sands will see in the EIWA championships about a month away now, actually. We're getting to that time of the season. And obviously Powell will also be a guy that he'll see. So trying to get that experience, get that feel as we get later into the season.
So with the escape, Powell gets on the board here to take the lead in this one. And as you said earlier, we're really getting to that stage of the season now where guys, you know, they're probably starting to think about that in their matchups. You know, oh, I might see this guy again in a couple of weeks. Some guys on each team, I'm sure, of course, hoping to end up eventually as national qualifiers as well, including one of those guys for Hofstra coming up at 165, and Jake Slotnick. Looking forward to seeing him later.
Yeah, Hofstra only has a few more duels this season. They're home for their last 3 dual meets. They have Harvard and Brown next Sunday, and then Rutgers next Wednesday before going to a tournament. And then it's, like I said, the conference championships. As for LIU, they have just 2 more dual meets in Drexel and Sacred Heart, so 2 more conference opponents who Hofstra wrestled earlier this season, Drexel being one of the toughest teams in the conference. But Hofstra had some good upset wins, which we'll get to as we get to those guys later in the day. But both teams wrestled Franklin and Marshall, and some of those guys, whether against Franklin and Marshall in the duel or at the F&M Open or throughout the tournaments this season. So a lot of familiar guys you'll see a couple times most seasons.
Coming up on the final 15 seconds of the second period here. Still that slim margin right now for Powell. Down to about 3 seconds, and that's how the second will end. So now again, it will be the decision coming up here for Sands. And he's going to start on bottom, and again, a quick escape here, and we'd be everything to play for in this third.
Pretty classic heavyweight matchup here. Both guys get the escape, and then someone maybe gets a takedown, or we go to sudden victory. That's why I kind of like when duels start at 125, so that heavyweight is your end of the night. But it's okay, we can get some exciting action midway through. Like I said, Sands just got the escape there, so it's going to come down to a takedown probably between these two.
So at some point, maybe someone's going to have to take a risk here, right? That's what it feels like coming down to the final 90 or so seconds of this one, tied at 1.
Powell setting up with an underhook, now getting a front headlock on Sands. He's just going to walk him out, so it's going to be a stall warning on Sands. That's going to be a second warning, so it's going to be a point for Powell.
And so that means now again, Sands will have to try to produce some of his own offense here, finding himself trailing.
Powell once again pressuring in with that underhook. It's a little bit looser though. We'll see if Sands can pummel in, get to an offense of his own. Even though there hasn't been that much action, both of these guys look pretty tired and sweaty out there. So they are putting in the effort, even if you haven't seen some takedowns. Powell with a double underhook for a second there. Now just one. Once again, putting Sands on his heels. Ref's going to call for stalling again and give one more point to Powell.
So now he's generated offense the same way 2 times in this third period. Just kind of, as you said before, almost walking out Sands and picking up those stall points.
So Sands either needs to start pressuring on his own or use that pressure and take the risk of getting low or trying to throw it by, duck under, or something like that, which could expose him, but at this point he's got nothing to lose. So it's really about going for it.
Takedown from Sands would turn this match on its head with 20 seconds to play. See if he has it in him. Powell doing a good job of just keeping him at bay. Down to about 10 seconds left. As you said, these guys looking a little bit gassed. And that bodes well for Powell with the lead. Final 3 seconds, 2 and 1, and Powell with a strong finish. And he will earn the victory at 285.
That was more a statement than any actual attempt at a takedown, but that'll do it for this match as LIU puts themselves on the board. Hofstra still in the lead, but we'll move all the way back down to the beginning of the weight line at 125.
So we take another look at how this one finished, and again, Powell kind of sending his man into the board there, but it is now 9-7 as the team score as we get set to go down to 125 for this one.
At 125 pounds for LIU, a freshman from Howell, New Jersey, Sawyer Ostroff.
And it is going to be Sawyer Ostroff going against Teague Strobel for Hofstra. So there was some questions about who LIU would go with. It's probably a little bit more clear for Hofstra between Strobel and Aiello, and Strobel getting the nod here.
Strobel 9-16 in his sophomore season. What's really been the big story for him is how he's gained confidence as the season has gone on. That's something that Franco has pointed out, is if Strobel feels good, and as he's kind of gotten used to the flow of collegiate wrestling, how it feels to go against these 125-pounders, he's improved pretty much week by week. Right now going for the takedown by controlling the ankle and trying to cover, but Ostroff doing a good job of getting a leg of his own. Like I said, we're in that scramble position that you saw with some of the heavier guys. It's going to be a little bit more dynamic for a weight like this. Strobel doing a good job of keeping his hips really high, though. It is able to cover. Still no takedown, but he'll catch Ostroff almost on his back there. Finally get the takedown, but it was quite the extended exchange there between the two of them.
Took a long time for Strobel trying to get Ostroff on his back and finally getting the three-point takedown there. And now earning some riding time here.
Strobel trying to get to a wrist, but Ostroff builds really well. Trying to keep it complicated there, was trying to reach back, but Strobel had the half Nelson there, would have been a really slick pin. But some of these lighter guys, they're a little bit slippery.
It looked like Ostroff was trying to pull off a reverse there and get around on Strobel, and Strobel did a nice job recovering there and has him again pinned to the mat now with under a minute left in this first. Strobel still leading off the takedown.
It's been a month since Strobel's last win. That was over John Bergman of Navy at the Lehman Open. So he's looking to kind of get back into a rhythm and end the season strong. He's got a really nice bar here going across the back. He's got to make sure he keeps it legal. But if he's able to use this for a tilt, it's some really nice near fall points. Or if he's able to get control of the other wrist, he could get potentially a pin here. Right now just trying to tilt. Ostroff really trying to hip down, make it difficult. That's what you want to do in this position, is put the hand on that hip.
Almost has him turned over. And looks like we're going to have a near fall coming up here. Looks like a 4-point near fall coming up here. So a strong first period there for Strobel, who was able to be in control there. The takedown, the near fall, and it's about as good of a start as Hofstra could have asked for there.
So second period, Strobel's going to start on bottom. We'll see. They might get into another tricky exchange here as he tries to get to his feet. But a really nice tilt there. It's nice to see some of the Hofstra guys working on top. The next weight you'll see 133. That's something that Gage Shipp has really excelled in. That's how he got his win against Army. Like I said, we'll talk more about him when he comes up, but you do want to get some of that action on top. As Strobel also increased his riding time to over a minute now, so he'll have that advantage as he got to his feet for the escape there.
Escape brings it to 8-0 here. 30 seconds gone in the second, and trying to shoot that leg. Ostroff again trying to get around him, and again he's going to end up kind of vertical like we saw in the first.
Yeah, this is a really dangerous spot. I don't really love that I keep seeing LIU do this. It is a good way to respond and sometimes you're able to score, but it also is literally putting your head and your back into the mat in a really awkward spot. Strobel is doing a good job, though, of staying calm. A lot of the Hofstra wrestlers have responded really well to that kind of situation where they're able to wait and anticipate, drop their weight, not get freaked out in that spot. That's what you just saw Strobel do there as he was able to get the takedown. Still holding on to Ostroff really well as he brought it back down on the mat.
So again, we are approaching tech fall territory. 11-0 lead for Strobel. And again, did a good job, as you mentioned, not allowing Ostroff to get on the board with the escape. And so they come back to the center here. And it will be Strobel starting on top here. And now over 2 minutes of riding time he's got.
30 seconds.
Right back to work.
Nice chop there from Strobel, like you said, back to work on top. Putting a good amount of pressure on Ostroff. He's got a pretty short time in the second period, so I don't know if he'll be able to set up a tilt. But he's definitely tiring him out as he's holding him here with a nice little claw in a spiral.
Final couple of seconds here in the second. Still Ostroff trying to find an escape, but cannot. And so heading into the third, 11-0 the lead for Strobel. And now decision time again here with Strobel selecting bottom here. And again, still hasn't been able to get the escape point in this contest just yet. Oh.
So it was Ostroff took bottom, but Strobel elected to give up the escape point to start neutral because he wanted to go for a takedown right away, which you're seeing here as he's once again hooking that ankle, trying to cover the body. Just needs to climb here, be patient, get his head up. Ostroff's going to try to push him away in control hands, but Strobel does a really good job of covering the body there, being patient as he climbs up. He's going to pressure him as he lets him out and go for another take with a slick duck under to get around and get the takedown.
So it works to perfection, the strategy, allowing the escapes and going right back to the takedowns to end this match in a tech fall at 17-2. And that puts Hofstra in a commanding lead here now at 14-7. Right now doubling up LIU after a really nice performance at 125 from Teague Strobel.
133 pounds for LIU, a freshman from Linwood, New Jersey, Carter.
Take another look at some of that last offense from Strobel, which helped end that match in the tech fall on this replay. And we go to our matchup at 133, and it looks like Carter Pack getting the nod for LIU against Gage Ship. So it was a little unclear again who LIU might go with, and for Hofstra, they had Ship penciled in all along here, winner of 2 straight and 5 of his last 7 coming off a tech fall win against Army.
Yeah, Ship looked at, I think his Army match was the best I've seen him wrestle all season. He was in control pretty much the whole match, had a lot of really good offense, like some takedown attempts, but also a really good set of fearful from a few different tilts. What a takedown there from Ship. Have the whole Hofstra bench on their feet there.
So the sophomore out of Henderson, Illinois, with the early 3-0 advantage, scoring that takedown. And then things went out of bounds, so they come back to the center here with Ship on top to begin.
Could have anticipated a movement from that, like that from Ship. When he gets momentum and feels in this flow, he wrestles really well, especially upper body. He's got some of that Greco experience that you see from his fellow Illinois teammate, Noah Tapia. You're not going to see wrestle today, but the two of them have that kind of Greco upper body experience, and you see it in how they wrestle. Ship's super dynamic, especially up there. So that's what you saw there, that really great takedown.
So really maybe wrestling at his best as he has all season. A ranked win against Drexel, getting a tech fall win against Army, starting things off well with the early takedown here. Nice to see from Ship, and a stall warning will go against LIU here.
Ship with a slick little attempt, tried to reach across and tap that knee, kind of get Pack onto his hip. Pack responded pretty well though, got into a solid base as they went out of bounds, so resetting here.
Pack, the freshman out of Linwood, New Jersey.
Ship going, gets the takedown again. Got through Pack's arm there, really easy drop to the leg, covered. Could be a really nice match from Ship again. We'll see if he continues to work on top. Like I said, in that Army match, he had a couple of really nice tilts, which might be, yeah, what he's setting up here. Trying to get the arm for a bar, and he'll expose the back here, going for some near fall. It's going to be just 2 near fall, as he wasn't in control for that long. So they'll go out of bounds and get reset here in the middle.
But fully in control from Ship. 8 points here. Leading it 8-1, and again, as they took it out of bounds, it'll be Ship to start on top again. So you saw Pack there was reaching for that back leg, trying to maybe turn this around, but
Ship once again with this tilt that he seemed to really like the last 2 matches at least. Controls the arm really well, stays really tight to the body. He seems to know when Pack or his opponent wants to belly out in response to that. Hofstra bench getting into this one.
So a 4-point near fall to end the first period, and really has been dynamic so far from Ship as they start neutral here to begin the second. And he went to that tilt a couple of times, getting 2 near falls out of it. As now we see Pack trying to shoot the leg, and instead Ship responds.
He's got to stay disciplined here. Did a good job of keeping his hips down and not getting rolled through by Pack. He's got Pack on his back now. He's going to pull that foot, make it really uncomfortable for Pack covering. He's got his chest to chest. Ship just needs head up, hips in. Super close to the pin here. Really dangerous spot, and that'll do it.
And there is the pin, and you can hear what it means to the Hofstra bench and the fans here at the MAC. An outstanding performance from Gage Ship. A couple of takedowns, a couple of near falls, and finally ending with the pin for a big 6-point effort to put Hofstra in front 20-7.
Ship's 5th pin of the year. You got some of the Hofstra guys who aren't wrestling today throwing t-shirts into the crowd with the win. You see there, what a great pin there from Ship. He was really patient there, didn't try to rush it. He knew that Pack would eventually get down to his shoulders. That's going to do it for 133.
So Hofstra leading 20-7. We'll be back in a few moments here on MSG Network, Flow College, and YouTube. And we are back at the MAC, the brawl of Long Island, Hofstra and LIU. The Island's two Division I wrestling programs with the Pride leading 20-7. Tom Birdie here alongside Olivia Halstead, and it's been a fun one so far, especially for Hofstra controlling things as we now head to 141. And Chase Liardi out of Massapequa, the Long Island product, looking to get things going for the Pride here against Amir Abazov.
Liardi coming off of a pretty solid match, even though it was a loss to a ranked wrestler, number 16, Braden Basil, up at Army. Liardi, if you look at the stat sheet, it doesn't really indicate how he's done this season. It says he's only had 3 wins, but he's been really solid in multiple performances for the Pride, like I said, against ranked opponents. He's an older member of this team. There's only a few of those. He's also a team captain, really bringing that leadership and is a big voice in the room. He spent a season at Ohio State where he was really successful but wanted to come back here. Like I think we said, local guy from Massapequa, has worked with Franco throughout his childhood, throughout his high school career, and wanted to come back and spend more time with him as a coach.
He's battled a little bit of injury this year, and Coach Franco telling us that he hopes that he can now kind of peak at the right time and see if he can get going now that he's healthy and putting in some good performances as of late.
The two stuck pretty equal tie here. Avazov controlling the center of the mat, but hasn't taken too many risky chances on offense.
Liardi, one of the 15 Long Island wrestlers between these two rosters. And as we mentioned, you can feel some of that energy and emotion. Nice crowd here on hand, and certainly a big night for Long Island wrestling. Liardi hoping to showcase himself here again out of Massapequa. Trying to follow up a tough act with Ship and his pin inside the final minute here of the first period.
They already tried to do a little throw by there, get to the leg as it popped up. Avazov did a good job of avoiding that, knowing where he was at. Now he's going to know to look for that, though. So if Liardi wants to attempt that again, he has to really hit it with some speed and some force. He's got the underhook, controlling the bicep.
Avazov, the redshirt freshman out of Uzbekistan, but came over here, did high school locally at James Madison. Dropping down to a knee there briefly.
Really just a feeling out period for the two of them. Or, excuse me, Liardi going for the takedown here on the double. Got to be careful there that he doesn't get exposed too much. Did a really good job of keeping his hands locked. Avazov, with some slick defense there, tried to flip Liardi over and expose him. Liardi basically stood on his head for like a whole second there, but by keeping his hands locked, he was able to stay on the legs.
I was like a broadcaster's jinx in the best way.
No, literally. I just say, no, this is boring. They're just going to feel it out. And no, Liardi must have heard me, I guess. But we're going to stop here for possibly some injury. Liardi's last match, there was an extended stoppage up at Army. Some issues with injury and then riding time. So just gives him another chance to kind of talk to the coaches.
Yeah, that's exactly what we see from Liardi, having a chat with the coaching staff and, you know, maybe just some reminders about, you know, what they talked about, kind of hitting those key points maybe again, all those talking points and strategy items that they were talking about coming into this match. As they continue to work on Avazov at the moment, and as we're in injury time right now, again, a 20-7 lead right now for Hofstra. And they've had some nice moments, and looks like now the two competitors getting back to the mat here.
It was kind of an interesting pause there. We weren't really sure if it was going to be injury, but seems like Avazov, all good. Just wanted to check on some things, but he'll start on top after that injury. It's not that Liardi gave up a takedown.
So we start the second, and it looks like he's riding the leg there of Liardi.
Yeah, this might have actually been a really opportune spot for Avazov, as he's got a nice little hook here and a really tight arm across Liardi's neck there. Liardi, like you can see it in his face that he's trying to get out from here. Avazov apparently a really tough rider on top.
He's now got the riding time advantage, over 30 seconds now.
He's got a tricky little tie there. He had to show the ref multiple times that his hold was legal. So that makes me think that he maybe trains in something other than wrestling.
Liardi getting the point for the escape. So slim margin right now at 1-0 in this one.
1 minute.
This is more like what we saw early in that first period, a little bit of that feeling out process. Then suddenly it exploded, maybe a little more of that here. About 45 seconds left in the second now.
Yeah, Liardi being really patient here. He's controlling the center better, try to get a front headlock and then go around.
Just wasn't able to get that double leg wrap. Avazov able to escape the takedown attempt. Final 20 seconds here of the period.
Liardi controlling some collar ties, go for a shot here on the leg.
Stall warning, LIU.
It's gonna be a stall warning for LIU. Liardi has to be able to finish this takedown though. Avazov is spunky there, trying to run away basically. Hofstra bench really into this. Avazov back on his knees here.
And I think another stalling point there. You mentioned it before, he got the warning and then kind of trying to run out and escape as the time was coming to an end in the period, and I think they got him for the stall point. So a 2-0 lead for Liardi, who starts on the bottom here to begin the third.
LIU coach kind of upset with the call here. But going back to that takedown, Liardi got to the leg, was trying to climb the body, but in doing so kind of let up some pressure. And Avazov is like really wanted to avoid the takedown, put his whole heart into it by running away, grabbing at the mat. So the redshirt freshman has had some pretty good moments of defense here. They're already able to get to his feet.
Liardi with the 3-0 lead, 1:40 left in this battle at 141.
Liardi once again staying patient. He's tried to avoid taking any really risky attempts, which is pretty smart against, it seems like Avazov is kind of a savvy wrestler. So good for Liardi, stay patient. Kind of backed out there. That's why the LIU bench is calling for a stall warning on Liardi.
He was able to avoid the shot there from Avazov.
1 minute.
But definitely looks like a guy who's working with the lead right now, Liardi. Under a minute to go.
Locked up. They're hand fighting. Liardi with a nice double low on the legs and covered. Timed that so well. He knew when Avazov started to lift up after that exchange. Just tackled him, brought the legs together, covered well. Really beautiful takedown there from Liardi.
Gives himself some important breathing room here now with a 6-0 lead, 41 seconds to go. And he will start on top here with, as we get back from the out of bounds. And it looks like he plans to let him up.
Yeah, Liardi taking that modified start to encourage Avazov to get up to his feet so then he can get that other takedown and kind of push for that major decision win.
So the escape point for Avazov. And now going for that takedown.
Liardi got in so deep there, shot not just for the leg, but basically through Avazov, caught the ankle, pulled it in, brought Avazov down for that takedown. So now he's winning by major decision. Riding time isn't going to be a factor in this match, but he has to be really smart here. There's still 13 seconds. Doesn't want to let Avazov up or expose himself for something worse like a reversal.
So trying to hold on again for that major decision. Final couple of seconds to go, and a strong performance from the Massapequa product, as Liardi coming away with a 9-1 victory. And we still see Avazov a bit shaken up here, hobbling a little bit for the handshake, but Hofstra up 24-7 with just a couple of bouts left, as we go to 149 next.
It's a really good win for Liardi. Really important for him. Like I said, he only came into this duel with 3 wins on the season, which isn't really a good reflection of how he is as a wrestler and where his peak is. His ceiling is so high. We saw that when he was at LIU. But moving to another guy who has kind of improved as the season has gone on and has found his footing as the starter at 149 this season, we've got Alex Turley.
So Tommy Bonacera for LIU, Alex Turley for Hofstra. And early on, a 3-point takedown for Bonacera. Trying to salvage something in this match for LIU here. The escape there for Turley. 5'8" redshirt junior out of St. Louis. Guy that Jamie Franco has said made a huge improvement from last year. Trying to do everything possible to get better. And has been in a lot of matches, been really close on a few of them, and seeing what he can do against Bonacera.
Turley's match this weekend up at Army against Ryan Franco was, again, one of the better matches I have seen from Turley this season. Even though he lost, it was a super close match, only falling 4-1. It came down to a decision. At one point, he was pulling Franco back into the mat, actually, to continue his offense. Wearing that head wrap, that's where he got it, was against Army after they had some head banging. But Turley, a guy who's kind of come into his own, like I said, at the starter at 149 after last season. It was Noah Tapia redshirting this year. Turley on a leg. He's got hands locked, trying to come out the back now. Bonacera, once again, trying to climb over and get to those ankles. Turley's going to try to keep his feet as flat as he can. Has to be careful in this spot, keep his hips high. Bonacera has kind of found a good position. We'll see how long the ref lets this exchange go on for. As long as someone is working to improve, it's okay. But if they kind of stalemate or potentially dangerous, as the ref's going to call right there.
Yeah, it looked like it was almost going to be a chance for Turley to turn him, but the referee steps in. Bonacera, one of the Long Island products wrestling tonight out of Wantagh, all county and a state qualifier. Part of a team that won the state championship at Wantagh High School. You can hear what the LIU bench is asking. They want Bonacera to bring it to Turley. They're asking for from the bench.
Turley slowing down a little bit here. Seems like he wants some quality attempts.
10 seconds.
So we get to kind of the end of this first period.
And so at the end of the period, 3-1 the lead for Bonacera, and Turley will start on the bottom here to begin the second. And some early fireworks here with Bonacera taking him down to the mat. Maintaining that riding time now, which is getting close to 30 seconds before the escape from Turley.
Liardi doing a good job of pressuring Bonacera, controlling the center of the mat, putting some weight on his head in the collar tie. Bonacera, pretty tall guy, so it's going to take a little bit more for Turley to get to him, as he's got a pretty long reach there. Turley with an underhook. Hofstra coach Jesse Delavecchia calling for him to use it.
Less than a minute to go here in the second. Still a 1-point differential between Bonacera and Turley. Couple of shot attempts there looking for the single leg, but Bonacera able to fight them off. Again, able to avoid it, but certainly much more aggressive from Turley on the offensive. This time he's able to get a hold.
Turley once again trying to come out that back door. They're in that same position that they were earlier tonight, so Turley knows that this is a tricky spot. Speaking of Liardi, though, him and Turley are two of the pretty vocal guys in the room. Older guys who direct a lot of the members of the Hofstra wrestling team. Turley especially has kind of matured in the last couple of years that he's been here, finding his footing.
You got to imagine that leadership is even more important on such a young squad as they have right now, leaning on some of those veteran guys. Bonacera will start on the bottom here. Trying to get back to his feet for the escape against Turley. And now able to do so. 4-2 the lead for Bonacera.
Turley's still definitely in this match. It's one takedown either way. He's got nice little high crotch there to get to the leg. Once again, they're in this scramble position that Turley has to be patient with, though he might get Bonacera's back exposed. He's able to tilt just right, but doesn't want to put himself in a dangerous situation. Trying to bundle the legs here and climb the body. Bonacera reaching for Turley's crotch to try to lift him over, but Turley will end up on top here to get the takedown.
So a massive 3-point takedown for Turley to take a 5-4 lead here with 50 seconds to go. Those two were battling for a while on the mat, and Bonacera tried to roll out of it a couple of times, eventually Turley getting that takedown.
Turley going for a tilt here, but he's got to be careful because he let his ankle under, so Bonacera now has access to that ankle. Still enough time for Bonacera to try to reverse this or get up to their feet. As he reaches back here, normally a really dangerous spot to be as a wrestler, but he's got Turley's foot. Turley now trying to hang on, not get rolled.
Final couple of seconds here for Turley, and Turley is going to hang on and win this one after the late takedown as he takes it 5-4 over the Wonton native Bonacera. So the strong day for Hofstra continues as they now lead it 27-7 after the 149, with the 157s coming up next.
It's been a really great match, or meet for Hofstra so far. They've not just won the matches they were anticipated to win, but gone out there and, I don't want to say gotten upsets, but dominated in matches where maybe you thought it would be a little bit closer. really feeling themselves. The momentum has been really important for them. Now, this is going to be a different matchup than we thought for 157. It looks like LIU is not going to put out Braden Roberts.
So Hofstra will stick with Volpe, who is what we thought, and LIU instead. There was a chance they were going to go with Nieto. That was one of the possible options that they had. And so again, a little bit of a different matchup than we initially thought there. We were expecting Roberts, but kind of a late change to add Nieto there to the lineup as a possible replacement. That's what we have here.
Two local guys, Nieto out of Massapequa, New York, while Volpe out of Hauppauge. Clearly I struggle with the Long Island names, not a local. But
you did well, you did well. And yeah, we should mention as well for Nieto, Massapequa, but Plain Edge High School, so a little bit different than one of our other Massapequa natives tonight in Liardi. And looked like a bit of an eye poke there, unintentional, of course, and so referees step in to quickly halt the proceedings. 2:03 right now left in this first. And Volpe, the redshirt sophomore out of Hauppauge, a guy who has been wrestling well, winner of 2 straight, and picked up a win over a nationally ranked opponent from Drexel. So coming on hot at the right time, perhaps.
Yeah, Volpe has shown a lot of improvement this season. He does a really good job of responding to his opponent's attacks and creating an offense of his own. Kind of a tricky guy. Franco has called him awkward and a little bit of a unique wrestler, but that ranked win was a really solid win. It'll help with postseason, with seeding for the tournament, with RPI, those kind of things. Hofstra had a much better performance against Drexel than they had in the past. They were shut out last year. And so far, they're having a much better performance against LIU, where last year it was super tight. Volpe on a leg here.
1 minute.
He'll get the takedown. Really well executed there.
3-point.
So a 3-point takedown for Volpe, and a guy who, as you mentioned, nationally ranked win recently, a guy who Jamie Franco says the bigger the match, the better he seems to perform. And so again, a little bit of extra juice with this local Long Island matchup. And he comes out strong with the early takedown, although now the escape from Nieto brings it to 3-1 with 30 seconds left here in the first.
Volpe definitely wrestles in response to kind of the environment, to the guys he's up against. Nieto now really avoiding the action, kind of stood straight up there.
10 seconds.
Less than 10 to go here in the first. And as you said, doesn't really look like much happening here to close out the first period. So a bit of a strange ending to that one. And now we'll see how we begin the second.
It looks like maybe Nieto, okay, just didn't want the ankle bands.
That was interesting. Referee taking the bands off of each guy, and well, I think maybe it was because they were on the wrong colors. So Volpe was wearing red, it looked like, instead of the green that Hofstra's been wearing, and so they just get rid of those. And the quick escape there from Nieto brings it to 3-2 here. And maybe it's got to be, I imagine it's got to be a bit of a tougher matchup, right? When you have a guy like Volpe who's a little bit unorthodox, as you mentioned earlier, can be tough for an opponent.
Yeah, Nieto seems extremely casual, though, in a way that is almost off-putting, as he's standing straight up at some points and really avoiding the action. My assumption would be maybe has a couple of tricks up his sleeve that he generally responds to, or likes to shoot from space. But this could end up being kind of a weird match. Nieto with a Russian tie here. Volpe clears it pretty easily, though. More than halfway through this match.
50 seconds left here in the second as the freshman from Plain Edge, Nieto, again in for Braden Roberts, who we thought might get the go against Volpe. And so far, the takedown from Volpe is the difference for the 3-2 advantage. 30 seconds left here in the second period. And now maybe it'll look like a bit of a slip there from Volpe almost, and Nieto trying to take advantage here.
Yeah, this was exactly what I was saying, where sometimes Volpe is able to generate some offense from the other wrestler's offense as he covers there for the takedown. But it looks like Nieto might have a similar style as he almost was successful there. Looking at our list here, it looks like what may have happened for LIU is that they moved Roberts up to 165 in order to wrestle Slotnick in what will now be the penultimate match of the night. That will be a really good matchup against two ranked guys, even if they are at different weight classes, two of the toughest guys in the EIWA, as they had initially put Valentin at 165 before moving him to 174. There's some trickiness here with wrestling in these duels. It's all about strategy.
But setting up, yeah, for what looks like a very interesting matchup at 165 coming up after this one. And on the escape, Volpe now up 7-2. And yeah, you made a great point, right? He turned offense, you know, from what looked like it might be offense from Nieto, and all of a sudden Volpe was able to turn it into offense of his own to get that late takedown at the end of the second. Now 90 seconds left here in the third, and he's up comfortable 7-2 at the moment, and Nieto's going to have to get a little bit less casual perhaps here trying to turn this one around.
Yeah, Nieto, well, Volpe with a slick little takedown there, got to the leg and covered well. Now getting Nieto a little bit fired up as he kind of pushed him off there, but I was going to say Nieto went for the trip as Volpe tried to get an ankle pick there.
1 minute.
Yeah, it seems like Nieto only likes to go for some really big ones. So Volpe might want to keep some distance here. It's just very strange wrestling from Nieto that I've never seen at the collegiate level.
Well, Volpe has turned a couple of Nieto's quick offensive attempts into takedowns of his own, and now we'll see if he can get another one here. He's got that right leg and able to get him down for another takedown. So really strong performance from Volpe with under 30 seconds remaining here in this third. Again, he's got some people fired up in this building with this performance so far. Getting the riding time now. 10 seconds to go. Volpe in full control here. And he's going to have Hofstra another victory, this time at 157. And so Hofstra now leading 31-7, and perhaps a bit of a change here as well in the lineup, as we're not going to have Slotnick. Instead, it looks like it's going to be Chase Hans coming in at 165.
This is turning out to be the most interesting 165 match. Possibly Hofstra was upset that they didn't put Roberts at 57, and they're like, we'll just give you Hans at 65 so we can avoid the matchup that LIU clearly wanted. So ignore everything we said in the open about those matchups, but you'll get to see Slotnick again. Talking about him, he's one of the most consistent wrestlers for the Pride. Obviously, he's one of the 2 wins at Army. He's been in the rankings. You'll see him, if not in the next few Hofstra home duels, but later in the season. But now you get to see a freshman, Chase Hans, making an appearance on the mat today.
Should be fun to see him go up against Roberts here. And as you said, maybe some of that, you know, local rivalry gamesmanship. Neither coach seeming to want to give the matchup that the other coach wanted at a couple of different classes here. And
it helps that Hofstra is up 31-7 in, I want to say, their most dominant win of this season. generally match by match, every Hofstra wrestler competed really tough, even if they lost. Really solid outing for the Pride. But Hans, like I said, the freshman, 7-5 for the record, which really good record for a freshman who hasn't been the starter at this weight class. Like we said, Slotnick's been the go-to guy.
Roberts, a 3-time state champion in high school at Parkersburg South, started his career at West Virginia, was a Scholar All-America selection as a freshman, and again has been one of the top guys for LIU, and bumping up from his usual 157 to go at 165 right now against Hans here. And they're going to send him over to the bench to get patched up a bit, it looks like.
Roberts is currently ranked in the January poll as 4th in the Eastern Intercollegiate Wrestling Association, where Slotnick is ranked 6th at 165. So 2 different weight classes. We'll see, maybe Roberts moves up later in the season, but Franco, when we sat down with him, talked earlier in the week, had been saying that 165 is one of the deepest weight classes for this conference. And so there's good and bad with that. It's going to mean that Slotnick, as we're anticipating, will be competing at 165. We'll have a couple of really tough matches in the conference, but that also means he'll probably have more allocation spots than, say, the last couple of seasons where sometimes a weight class only has 1 spot and you have to win that one. But a quick start here. Roberts, you heard that sound, really heavy there with the hands. Hans pressuring in. A good pickup for the Pride, like I said, has already done really well in the few appearances he's had. Is staying in this one well.
Just trying to control the wrist there, it looked like, of Roberts. And able to fight him off at the moment with under a minute left to go here in the first, as Roberts going for the single leg.
Hans locking around the crotch there to try to lift Roberts. Now doing what we just saw LIU do in quite a few matches, making this difficult in this scramble now. You want hips high in this position, you want your head up. So right now Roberts is really solidly in control, but Hans isn't going to let go of that ankle. He has to be careful and watch the knee here though. Referee's looking for that, motioning that there's been no takedown yet. As long as Hans keeps his arm there, it's not a takedown. So we're getting to the end of this first period. We'll see if the ref just lets them keep wrestling out this kind of awkward position. Though Hans, his lock gets broken there, so Roberts will get the takedown.
Yeah, you could see Roberts getting his arm in there to break that hold, as you just said, breaking the lock and earning that 3-point takedown. And so that's how the first period wraps up, with Roberts in front. And LIU will select bottom to begin the second here. So we'll see if Hans can get anything established from on top.
Hans off to the side there, putting a lot of weight. Roberts got to his feet. Gonna take his time, control hands here. Hans, nice little drop down to the ankle though. Stay in control.
Almost looked like he was going to get him all the way back down to the mat, although Roberts now battling back to his feet and eventually gets the escape. So 4-0 now for Roberts. Roberts doesn't really seem phased right now by bumping up so far.
Hans trying to get some movement. The Hofstra coach is calling for movement. Wants him to not meet Roberts so head on. Try to create an angle, open him up. Look at in this collar tie here. Hans tried to clear it. Hans now being the aggressor, controlling center of the mat well. Even though he gave up that takedown, his defense was really solid. Just got a little bit lower. Roberts had a little bit better position and worked through it.
Yeah, still feels like a good battle right now. even against Roberts, as we said, one of the key guys to watch for LIU coming into this one. And Slotnick trying to hold his own against him here. Final 15 seconds of the period for Hans.
10 seconds.
Two kind of at a standstill now. Are you going to shoot? Am I going to shoot?
Yeah, Roberts just kind of a playful tap of the head there. You can see him smiling there, just as you said, a little bit of that cat and mouse game. And that brings it to the end of the second. So now Hans to begin the third, and they're going to start neutral here.
Last period of this whole dual meet, it's been quite the performance for Hofstra, hosting LIU. Got a good crowd here. It's going to be the start of a homestead for Hofstra. Roberts tried to reach across for the leg there. Hans initially avoided the first takedown attempt, but then Roberts got around back and covered well. Now he's on a really high ride. If Hans is able to kind of keep him high, keep lifting his hips, he could maybe catch Roberts' head here and put him in a dangerous spot. This is the issue with the leg riding. As Roberts sunk back down now, it is going to be really heavy on Hans, but opened up for a second there. Anyway, as I was saying, it's going to be a homestead for Hofstra, home against Harvard and Brown on Sunday, and then they host Rutgers in another Big Ten matchup. Obviously wrestled Wisconsin earlier this season, so they're getting a really good last dual meet. Should be some really tough competition. That's really important for Hofstra as they look to postseason to get those RPI wins. Roberts still controlling on top here. He's got the legs locked. He's got his hips in, putting so much pressure on Hans. It's going to be really difficult for him to get up here.
So Roberts controlling things. 7-0 lead. Final 30 or so seconds left in this meet.
Seconds.
And you can hear the bench asking for a stall.
Let's get reset here. No rush to the center of the mat, as it seems like Roberts is finally taking control of this match, the redshirt junior. Off your bench, all smiles, though, with this win.
Yeah, they've been largely in control in this one. After a little bit of back and forth early on, Hofstra eventually kind of taking control and then cruising for much of the rest of the way.
10 seconds.
Down to the final 10 seconds in this one. Roberts controlling this match here at 165. And he's going to come out with the victory here, but it is the Hofstra Pride who are going to come away with the victory in this Long Island situation. For all of Long Island, as we're calling it. 31-11, the final. And a really nice performance from Hofstra, as we will also be joined in just a moment here by Chase Liardi, one of the Long Island products here, but really, Olivia, you have to say just a tremendous performance from Hofstra against the rival here.
Athletics, we thank you for your attendance tonight.
Yeah, really great. Even from the guys who lost today, they had a really great showing, really good offense, responded well to some of LIU's weird defense.
Those matches will take place
Had a few really solid.
And so 31-11 again winds up being our final. As again, we are set to be joined here by Chase Liardi. Hofstra, the 31-11 victory. So we just get set here to speak to Chase Liardi. And Chase, a really nice performance in this kind of brawl of Long Island. I'm sure that that was a big talk or focus coming in, right? A lot of Long Island products, 15 total Long Island wrestlers on the two rosters, and one that I'm sure you guys really wanted to have tonight here against LIU, a local rival.
Yeah, absolutely. Me coming from Massapequa, Long Island always been great for wrestling. Just two Division I programs coming in here, and we have a great crowd out here too. So I think we all put on a show, and it was just a great performance.
Yeah, how did you feel about your match? Obviously, you came off kind of a tough weekend, wanted that get back. How did you feel today?
Yeah, I mean, in the first period, I was a little flat, but, Jamie always talks about just letting it fly. And I think once I hit the second period, I kind of just, hit a switch and started scoring points, opening up, and eventually got that major.
And then as one of the older guys, one of the captains on this team, how did you feel about some of the younger guys and their performances today?
Yeah, I mean, we have a young team. Everybody battles in the room, so, just seeing guys out here, just putting it on the line. Young, I was young back in my days. It's not easy getting out here thrown to the wolves, but, they battle every day. We battle in the room, and it's just great seeing them have this opportunity.
Getting to an important time of the season now, obviously, and your coach is telling us that he thinks you're kind of getting to that point where you're almost peaking at this point of the season. Is that something that you feel, and how have you been working towards that to start wrestling your best at this time of year?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like as the weeks went on, I've gotten better in just little positions, whether, either that's cardio, front headlock, single leg, bottom. I feel like I'm getting better every single week. And it just goes back to what we do in the room, grinding with our guys, battling it out and trusting our coaches and our preparation, and just getting ready for EIWAs.
Yeah, finally, I was going to say, how can you kind of take the momentum of this one into this crucial stage of the season, couple of weeks left, and then, of course, the focus turning into EIWAs?
Yeah, I mean, it's great being back home. We were on a long stretch of being away, traveling around the Northeast, so being back for a few more home duels is great. Use this momentum, get back to work tomorrow and practice, and just keep rolling.
Fantastic stuff from Chase Liardi, again, one of the Long Island products here in this Long Island Brawl night. A big win for Hofstra, 31-11. Chase, thanks so much for joining us here tonight. And now I'll throw it over to Olivia. Your final thoughts on this one, Olivia?
This is a really great duel for the Hofstra Pride. Went out there and dominated. Like I said, even in the matches that Hofstra lost, they were right there in it. Obviously, Liardi getting a really solid win, Ship getting that pin. Those were the moments where you say, wow, this is a young team, but they're figuring it out, they're putting it together, and what a statement here.
Yeah, big statement victory for the Hofstra Pride, 31-11. They take this one final over LIU. Some really nice moments throughout the contest for Hofstra. Again, 15 total wrestlers from Long Island between these two teams. A full packed house here at the MAC. And Hofstra coming up with a big victory over LIU in this one. But that's going to do it for us here from Hempstead. Once again, the Pride with the victory, 31-11 is the final for everyone involved. For my color analyst, Olivia Hilstead, I'm Tom Birdie. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hofstra next in action against Harvard, Sunday, February the 15th at 1 p.m. For now, I'm Tom Birdie again. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your Monday.